Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. This is my second annual review. First one being the what I termed the Chinese Chinese pen maker of the year. I hope you enjoyed that video. I know it got quite a bit of views and comments and people discussing what's first, what's second, what's better, what should have been deleted, what should have been added. I find that all very, very interesting. And my second review is going to focus on skeleton pens. I find that skeleton pens really took off in 2023. They were very popular. We had various companies putting out these pens. And some of them actually had variety of designs. And so all of that makes it a lot more fun. These skeleton pens are sharp, and I got to tell you, they grow on you. Now, the choices I've made, the 8 nominees, spoilers alert, are not going to contain any Mont Blancs at $1,000. They don't contain the Visconti at $2,000. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the Laban at $350 because I find those pens totally unaffordable. I did want to add one pen to this list, and I unfortunately, just the timing, I discovered it existed just too late, was the Conklin Endura, which I believe was had one version of it, of the Endura as a skeleton pen, and at $99, $100 would have kind of fit in to the 8 nominees. But I wasn't going to put grail pens in this list. First of all, I'm not going to buy a Mont Blanc skeleton pen, nor will I purchase a Visconti, God forbid, just to make a skeleton pen review. And frankly, $2,000, $1,000 doesn't interest me. I'm not going to spend that kind of money on a pen, and certainly not on a skeleton metal pen. So having said that, these are, of course, my choices based on what I purchased, based on my experiences. I'm sure you have your own. I'm sure it'll be fun hearing from you, whether you wish to delete any of that I've put in on my list, or maybe add, change the order. And all of that is part of the fun, folks. It's fountain pen therapy, as I say. I know I've enjoyed putting together this video and putting together and kind of deciding, especially on number 1 and number 2 there, it was a toss-up. Got to tell you, right to the end, I didn't know which one was going to take which place. But having said that, I've reflected, compared, I've decided, here are my 8 nominees for the Skeleton Pen of the Year 2023. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back with the 8 nominees, and number 8 on my list, let's start off right away, is this pen right here, and this is the Asvine M169, freshly out of my mailbox. In fact, I was waiting for this pen to be delivered for me to complete my review, and here it is. It comes in number 8 spot because essentially I find that this pen, this is the only pen, by the way, that I've not reviewed. So you will not find it in my listing. I'm not sure I will review it, frankly, because it is exactly the same as the V169. The only difference, a major difference, but in terms of design and overall look, the difference being that the V169, well, the V stands for vacuum filler. This is a cartridge converter, but essentially we're talking about the same overlay, the same shape pen. And here it is. It's number 8. It's a cartridge converter. The nib, as with all Asvine nibs, this nib did not disappoint. Very wet, constant, smooth, nice overall design. Nothing to write home about. Very simple. As with the V169, it doesn't post properly, so I would not recommend. I mean, you can kind of fit it in there if you absolutely need to, but it's really back weighted and it'll just pop off easily, so I would not recommend posting this pen. But there you have it. At $37, I find it's a little bit pricey, but it's still a nice price. But given that it's essentially my V169, just with a different filling mechanism, I chose to give it number 8 position. So there you have my number 8 Asvine M169. Next on my list is the Jinao 100 skeleton pen. Now, got to be careful because they do have two designs. They have the and the number 7 is this design here, what I call the tight overlay design. Tight by what I mean is smaller, hollows. Typical Jinao 100. We've seen the design before, and that's one of the reasons why it is at number 7. It's a very comfortable pen, I've got to admit. It just sits there very nicely. It's light. It's not too heavy. That section has a nice flare, so even though it's metal, it doesn't slip in any great way. Those threadings, the threads are smooth, not a problem. Does it post? Yes, it does, just at the tip, but it posts. Makes it a little bit back weight, yes, back heavy, but it's doable if you need to post it. And because it's a cartridge converter, it won't affect the filling mechanism as some of the piston fillers do. The Jinao nibs does come in medium, which is good news. So extra fine medium, very nicely tuned nibs. I have no problems with that whatsoever. And the tight overlay is at $20, which is an excellent price. Now, I do want to, and this is my last comment here, don't be fooled with the vacuum. One of the sites, and I forget which, advertises this pen as being a vacuum filler, and essentially it's the Jinao 100 skeleton. It's the same pen which I thought I was purchasing as a vacuum filler, and I was excited because it was Jinao's first non-cartridge converter, or a vacuum filler anyway, and I announced it to a lot of you in my comments that it was coming, and then I had to retract my words. This is not a vacuum filler. As Chris Rapp pointed out to me, you've got to be careful because of the translation. Sometimes you can interpret, or you can argue scientifically that a converter does have a vacuum sort of a system, but it is not a vacuum filler, folks. I got fooled. I didn't read the fine-tune, finer details. Have no illusions. It is a cartridge converter, as you will see. It's just like the other one. What's nice about this one is the nice matte black finish and the black nib, which is nice. So at the end of the day, I think I will still enjoy this pen, but just be careful. It's not a vacuum filler. There you go. That's the Jinao number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list is the Jinao 100, but this is the large overlay, which I distinguished earlier, and as you can see, comes in different colors, etc., and they've all been put on the screen. The overlay is much larger. It's essentially the same Jinao design, except with those two black finials, and with the different overlay. I thought it deserved its own place, and frankly, I prefer this one over the tighter overlay design. It does have that nice black section. It kind of gives it that, different look, if you will, which is nice. The nibs are the same, extra fine, and medium. Very nice, write very nicely, all smooth, wet, and constant. And of course, the finial, the Jinao finial, sticks out a little more because of that black acrylic finial design. Essentially, the same comments apply to this one, and it's much cheaper. This one goes for $16, whereas the tight overlay version of the Jinao 100 goes at $20, so it's even cheaper. I guess less metal, less cost. But there you have it, and that takes my number 6. And really, the main reason why they're so low, these both Jinaos, is this rattling, which is caused probably by the steel, or the steel converter rattling against the sides of that body. Now, I know some of you said, well, I don't tap my pens. I can't, it's just there, and it gives it kind of that cheap quality, which I don't enjoy. I know we don't tap our pens, but every time I pick it up, it rattles, and I don't see why I should give it more than a 6 position because of that. There you have it. So that's number 6 on my list. Number 5 on my list is the Asvine P80. Now, some of you may argue it should probably go higher, but I'll explain to you why I believe it should be at this position. Here is the pen. This is probably the one that looks the most like the Laban skeleton pens, just because of the cigar shape. It is a beautifully cigar-shaped pen, well designed, great quality. It's Asvine. Both the pen and the nibs, of course, are exquisite. The pins are the nibs are just so well tuned. They come in extra fine, fine, and medium. And in fact, this version you can also get it with a Bach nib, a little more expensive. 10 on 10 for build quality, 10 on 10 for their nibs. It is a piston filler, but with the Asvines have the problems with posting, and this doesn't post. So this doesn't post, folks. It is a heavier pen. It is a bigger pen, so you don't really need to post it to be able to write with it. That section is slippery, but fine. I don't believe it's slippery to the point where it's not usable. And besides, I'm getting used to these metal pens now, so they don't present a major problem. The steel section is no longer a major issue for me, at least. So there you have it, the Asvine P80 at number 5. Number 4 on the list is the Asvine V169, and that's the same version as I've explained as the M169, or the same design, except of course it is the vacuum filler, and this is why I think it takes number 4 position on my list. And as you can compare it to the M169, you can see that it's essentially, both pens are essentially the same outer overlay design, identical in my view, except of course for the filling mechanism, which in and of itself differentiates this pen, and which makes it number 4 in my view. It's the only vacuum filler on my list. It's the Asvine excellence for their nibs. There's a variety of overlays and resins, and I'll put all of that up on the screen, which gives you, some nice choices there. Excellent build quality. The only negative is this posting blunder that Asvine appears to repeat. It does post, but it sits there on that piston knob. Not sure it's a good thing to do it. Extremely back-weighted, uncomfortable. I would not recommend posting this pen. It is very comfortable without posting, so I believe there's no need to. Nice section, by the way, that has a nice flare. It keeps it very nice and comfortable, very nice and tight in your fingertips. So very nice pen. Number 4, very nice Asvine as usual, and those nibs are really exquisite. And at $45, it's a good deal, as they say. There you go. So that's number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list. Number 3 on my list is the Majon T6. I think this pen and the designs, and it comes in a couple of designs, is original. It's a nice put together pen. It's got that traffic or road design. I think that it also has very nice details here and in the center band, and of course that traffic light and the clip makes it unique. It comes in a variety of colors and 2 basic designs, I believe it is, and you'll see it up on the screen. Extremely comfortable and well balanced. An excellent writing experience, I find, with this pen, unposted in any event. It can be posted, but it sits there on top of that piston filler knob, which I think is not a good idea. Extremely back-weighted, so I would not want to post this pen. But because it is so big, I don't think you need to. I think it's just as comfortable and really works well unposted. At $55, a little bit pricey in my view, but that the originality of its design puts it where, and the piston filler, along with the very smooth nibs, by the way, the extra fine. It comes also in medium. I'm still trying to figure out how to put that 1.1 Majon stub in this. I think eventually I'll figure it all out. Somebody told me that it is possible, so I've got some extra 1.1 stubs from Majon. This might very well end up being a stub pen at the end of the day. But there you have it. That's number 3 Majon T6. Now, number 2 and number 1, I went back and forth, and that'll explain some of the scribbling that you'll find on the top here. You know, at one point I had placed it number 1, then I changed my mind, and I compared, and I compared, and I compared, and yes, the D1 does take second position in my mind. Some of you might argue that it should be number 1. I understand. It's number 2 on my list. I mean, the design work is, you know, from Ongdian is just exquisite in my view. Just all the details of how that just makes that metal kind of sparkle at you. Look at that beautiful finial. I think that finial, that large topped up finial is really nice touch. The design work on that clip is also very nice. It posts just wonderfully compared to the rest. I mean, this thing points just very nicely. That springy nib, it springs all right, and many of you like that springy nib and would have placed this maybe number 1, and maybe even on my Chinese Pen of the Year list. Some of you was wondering why it didn't make that list. Well, both this number 1 and this number 2 on this list didn't make the Chinese Pen of the Year list because I chose to give it their own category, if you will. But they are number 1 and number 2, and as you will see, I think number 1 is going to be a very popular choice as well. There you have it. Build quality, springy nibs, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, there's a little bit of an edge on the overlay, but nothing, you know, nothing that will cut your fingers or anything. It just gives it that sharper look. There you go. So there you have it. Number 2 on my list, the Ongdian D1. Now, some of you may have already guessed, the Ongdian A6 ultimately is my number 1 choice. I mean, I'm going to put this pen and you'll realize right away why I think it sparkles. You could see the light on this pen sparkles. It's got that beautiful look. Look at that center band, that intricate work even on the overlays, just those double lines everywhere. Beautiful nib with that arrow. You know, it's got that nice finial with the blue background, with the little bevels here. Design work at the top here. It's got some design work at the bottom. That center band, which is similar to the N10 and the N11, just makes the, you know, it just gives it that character. Some of you argued should have made my Chinese Pen of the Year list. I agree with you, but it's in a separate category, so it's got its own position at number 1. And this, for me, is the number 1 skeleton pen of the year. It is another Ongdian, again, making Ongdian a unanimous choice in my mind for a pen maker or Chinese pen maker of the year. Beautiful pen. I'm going to enjoy this pen tremendously. And by the way, in my version of this pen, this nib is even springier, has even more spring than the D1. So folks, stay tuned. Beautiful. It comes in only extra fine and fine, but you can get your hands on a medium by paying a little bit extra, and at that beautiful price of $40, I think it makes this pen the number 1 skeleton pen of the year. So there you have my list. Now let's put them all together so you can see them all at once. Here they are. As you can see, let me just see if I can make this a little bit less. Yeah, okay, here we go. As you could see, The P80 is the biggest one, along with the Majon. But they're all very nice sized pens, in my view. Very not small pens at all. I think these things rival the $2,000 ones, the $1,000 ones, and even the $350 ones. So I think they deserve to be declared the nominees for the skeleton pens of the year. And certainly these two Ongdians deserve their placing on number 1 and number 2. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please comment. Would you have switched some of these around? Do you prefer any other ones as the top? Should I have deleted any from this list altogether? Should I have added? Have I forgotten anyone? Maybe there's another very affordable skeleton pen that could have been on this list and that I omitted. Please let us know. It's fun to know. It's fun to comment. It's fun to share. Enjoy your pens. It's the holiday period. I think when this video will come up, probably before the new year. So I wish you all a happy new year. Be safe and enjoy your pens. It's fountain pen therapy, folks. Ciao.